Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome if you're new. So today is finally season 4. It feels like it's been a long time, man, and I'm really glad that it's finally here. Cold War has just been really stale lately, and you know, there hasn't really been too many incentives for me to personally want to pick up the controller and play the game. However, we are hit with some new quote-unquote weapon tuning updates to specifically only the assault rifles. So unfortunately, I'm not really too impressed by this weapon balancing update. I wish that they would have, you know, added a lot more to the game. There are definitely some weapons in the game that I feel like could be a lot better performing, but all we're going to talk about today is the significant changes to the assault rifle suppressors. I think 𝗧𝗪 really wants us to expand our horizons and try something new. So if you guys can do me a favor, drop a like on this video. Let's try to hit a like goal, 300 likes within 24 hours of this video being posted. I'd really appreciate it. I know we could hit that goal, man. We've been absolutely crushing it the last 3 weeks. You guys are absolutely amazing, and make sure to subscribe if you're brand new around here to make your way back to the channel. We're going to be doing daily uploads once again, man. I just came back from vacation. If you guys have been following me on Instagram, you guys have seen you know, the stuff that I was up to. So if you guys are into that, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you know, just to stay updated with me outside of YouTube, just to see what's going on or anything like that. Anyway, so it's pretty self-explanatory here. So here we have our season 3 data of all our ranges when we have our suppressor and agency suppressor applied to any of these weapons here at the top. So here is season 4. These are the brand new values here for the ranges. Green, that means it's a good thing. Red means it's a bad thing. It means that they nerfed it. All right, so long story short, they basically nerfed the QBZ suppressor. You know, it's not really that significant when you think about it, because if you take a look at the 38.9 versus 38.13, it's not even a 1 meter difference. So you know, if you're a fan of the QBZ, do not be alarmed by this. Adding a suppressor is not going to hurt your performance at all if you're going to choose to go that route. Now, I would say a pretty significant nerf out of all of these would be the 𝗧𝗪 83. And when I say significant, I'm just comparing this to the other nerfs here, because 50.8 meters from 54 meters, that's a 4 meter difference. So, you know, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that big of a deal. But if you're comparing it to the rest of the nerfs here, this is pretty significant compared to the other things here. But as far as what is actually worth using a suppressor on, I would definitely nominate the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦. Now, more specifically, the agency or the 𝗧𝗪𝗧 suppressor, you know, depending on what gun you're using, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just interchangeable terms at that point. But the agency suppressor on both the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 are pretty much the only weapons I see worth using a suppressor on, because if you take a look at these ranges here, it's now 35 from 30 meters, and 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 is 38 now from 34. So these are pretty significant when you compare it to the other buffs in the game, and it's definitely worth using. And also, we're gonna go more in depth in the gunsmith later. I'm gonna give you guys a couple example class setups of what to use if you want to choose to go that suppressor route. But mainly, the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 both have very good barrels with bullet velocity. With the ranger attachments on both the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦, they essentially turn the gun into a hit scan machine. So basically, when you fire your weapon, your shots are gonna hit your target a lot faster. That's basically what it means. Now, if you know anything about the agency or 𝗧𝗪𝗧 suppressor, they basically reduce your effective damage range and your bullet velocity. So that's why XM4 and 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦, you know, they're not really going to be affected as far as bullet velocity goes, because like I said, they have the best hit detection out of all the assault rifles here. Keep in mind, I do test these barrels. That's how I know about this information and why I say the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦 are worth using. Not only because of the range increase that we do receive, but also their bullet velocities. You know, you could still save face with their bullet velocities because of the ranger barrels. So now let's go ahead and switch over to the gunsmith. I'll show you guys some example class setups. So for the 𝗧𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗦, this is what I would personally run if I were to go this route. And keep in mind, this is worth it in my opinion because of these buffs. So for the first attachment, we're going with the Microflex LED. Obviously, this is one of the more popular optics in the game. It's just easy to use, and it's a lot more user-friendly than most of these attachments here. But of course, use what you want for a sight. It doesn't really affect your performance. Now, of course, we're using the agency suppressor. This is definitely worth using after it's been buffed. Now let's take a look at the stats here in deeper detail. So our effective damage range is reduced to 38.1 meters. But, you know, if you go into a private match and you play with a friend and you go ahead and mark where that person is, you'll see that 38 meters is actually a pretty good distance, especially for a majority of these maps that we do play on. So as long as you play within these parameters, you're going to be just fine. So there's nothing to worry about. And the bullet velocity reduction that you do get with it It looks pretty significant on paper. It's negative 30%, but we are going to mitigate that negative by putting on the Ranger barrel. So this is why I feel like using a suppressor on both the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥 is definitely plausible. This Ranger barrel gives us an insane amount of bullet velocity at 126%. So, you know, bullet velocity is not really going to be too much of a factor here if you're putting on the agency suppressor, so I wouldn't really worry too much about that. And by the way, the Ranger barrel is literally the only barrel that you should be using on the 𝗧𝗧𝗥. This is going to massively increase your weapons performance in gunfights. You're going to have essentially almost a hit scan type of bullet travel speed when you're using this Ranger barrel, whereas everything else, you know, you don't really get those pros. Now, if we're going to take a look at the body, we're using the soft target designator. Underbarrel is going to be the 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦 speed grip. Now, the 𝗧𝗧𝗥 being such a laser beam naturally, you don't really need something like the field agent grip because, number one, it's also going to reduce your shooting move speed, which you are going to find yourself to be a little bit slow and sluggish, not a lot of mobility in those gunfights, unless you're playing a game mode that has very long lines of sights. So that's where I could see the field agent grip being a lot more usable. But as far as most of the maps that we do play on today, 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦 speed grip is the best balance. You get a little bit of horizontal recoil control as well as some sprinting move speed pro. Now for the magazine, we're using the 40 round magazine. Handle is going to be the serpent wrap and the stock is going to be the no stock. So this is going to be what I would use if I were to put a suppressor on my 𝗧𝗧𝗥. Now for the rest of my class setup, if you guys are curious, I'm using the new AMP-63 pistol, which is absolutely great in my opinion. It's fully automatic pistol. You can't go wrong with that. Muzzle is going to be the SOCOM Eliminator, barrel is Task Force, body is soft target, magazine is 25, Stanag round, handle is going to be the serpent wrap, and here's the rest of my class setup if you do want to copy it. Now for this perk, I definitely will remove Ninja and put on Ghost, kind of depending on my opponents. If they're calling out a lot of UAVs, obviously we do want to switch to Ghost, but you know, most of the time I do like to use Ninja, and then I'll just use my jammer just so that I can put this down as soon as they call in a UAV. This is going to create static on the minimap on their end, and they're not going to be able to see my exact location, and it's proven to be very, very helpful. All right, now moving on to my XM4 class setup. Just a quick note, everything else is still the same previously from my 𝗧𝗧𝗥 class setup. So starting with the optic, I'm using the Microflex LED. Muzzle, of course, is the agency suppressor. Barrel is going to be the Ranger barrel. Now, I do understand we could use other barrels here like the reinforced, you know, to give us best of both worlds of effective damage range and bullet velocity, as well as the Task Force barrel. However, per my bullet velocity testing, the Ranger barrel is going to essentially transform this gun into hit scan as well. So that's why the XM4 and the 𝗧𝗧𝗥 are the two assault rifles that I feel are worth using the agency suppressor on if you want to go that route, because bullet velocity is not really going to be an issue if you put on this Ranger attachment. If you guys want to see my video talking about bullet velocities and assault rifles, which they actually did buff recently, make sure to check the link down below in the description just so you can get more of an understanding of what I am talking about. Now for body, I'm using the soft target designator. Underbarrel is going to be the field agent grip, or you can go with the 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦 speed grip. Now the XM4 is fairly easy to use, but if you're going to compare it to the 𝗧𝗧𝗥, you're going to have a slightly harder time controlling the recoil on the XM4, especially if you're playing at longer ranges. If you have trouble shooting targets at longer ranges, I would definitely recommend the field agent grip. But if you've got better recoil control, then definitely go with the 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦 speed grip, and it also gives you a nice boost of sprinting move speed, and it does not affect your shooting move speed as much as it does with the field agent grip. Now for the magazine, we're using the 40 round. Handle is going to be the serpent wrap, and stock is going to be either the SAS combat stock if you are going to be using the field agent grip, okay, just so we can mitigate the negative just a little bit on the shooting move speed. But if you choose to go the 𝗧𝗠𝗘𝗦 speed grip route, I would change the stock for the Raider pad. All right, so I just want to make that clear so we're on the same page. All right, so everything else, like I stated, is going to be the same thing as far as everything else. I genuinely want to know if you guys made it this far into the video. Prove it down below in the comments and just, you know, let me know what your opinion is of this weapon balance update. You know, in my personal opinion, I don't really think it's that significant. I feel like at this point, they're just trying to do damage control of the mess that was created at the beginning of launch, and they're just now balancing everything out in the game. Obviously, that's a good thing. We do want to see those things progressively getting better, but in my opinion, I wouldn't really call this a weapon balancing update. You know, it's kind of just like a maintenance thing. But anyways, yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know your opinion so I know who my true supporters are. If you guys made it this far into the video, you guys are absolute legends. I really appreciate every single one of you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Let's go, baby. Yo, if you guys are always on your computer all day or you like to game for long sessions, definitely check out gameradvantage.com for these blue light blocking glasses. Quite literally the best blue light glasses that you can ever find on the market. Make sure to check out gameradvantage.com and just learn more about it, man. There's so many benefits to keeping your eyes nice and healthy. You won't feel that strain at the end of the day, and you'll go to sleep like a baby at the end of the day, and that's the best part. You won't feel tired at all. Definitely check out gameradvantage.com. Use code TURBO at checkout.